Good evening, and welcome to the Crypto Overnighter. I'm Nicodemus, and I will be your host as we take a look at the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. And remember, none of this is financial advice. And it's 10 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter, where we have no sponsors, no hidden agendas, and no BS. But we do have the news, so let's talk about that. Tonight we're diving into a whirlwind of stories that are shaking the very foundations of the financial world. Can BRICS outmuscle the G7 nations? What's the European Union's grand plan for a digital euro? And in the crime sector, a $40 million exploit rocks a crypto betting platform. While firms are raking in big bucks in the wake of crypto firm collapses, meanwhile Singapore's new president casts a skeptical eye on crypto, and Japan is making some intriguing moves in the crypto tax landscape. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. So, are they going to have to change the name BRICS? Here's why I ask. India is a founding member of the BRICS alliance. Well, they're planning to change their name to Bharat. This decision will be discussed in a special parliament session on September 18th. The BRICS alliance itself has been growing, recently adding 6 new countries: Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Argentina, Egypt, Iran, and Ethiopia. I suppose Iran could be the new I in BRICS. The US dollar is losing its stronghold in the global oil sector. BRICS aims to use local currencies for oil trade, challenging the dollar's dominance. Reports from JP Morgan indicate that the dollar's influence in the oil sector has been waning even before BRICS initiated the de-dollarization process. BRICS's GDP and purchasing power parity now accounts for 37.3% of the global economy, surpassing the G7 nations. The alliance controls 42% of the global oil markets and has a combined GDP of $31.75 trillion. The bloc covers 36% of the Earth's surface and consists of 45% of the global population. So this isn't just a small-time gathering. The BRICS alliance is not just expanding in terms of member countries, it's also challenging the very foundations of global economic power. The planned name change of India to Bharat is more than symbolic. It's a statement against colonial legacies and a move toward asserting a new identity on the world stage. The decline of the US dollar in the oil sector is a seismic shift. The dollar has been the global reserve currency, especially in oil trades. BRICS is not just aiming to dethrone the dollar, it's aiming to rewrite the rules of global trade. This is a calculated push by BRICS to take control of a sector that's been long dominated by the West. The GDP numbers are staggering. BRICS now controls more than 1/3 of the global economy. This isn't just a challenge to the G7, it's a challenge to the entire Western economic system. The alliance's control over such a significant portion of the world's population and natural resources gives it an unprecedented leverage. Before we move on, if you're riveted by these geopolitical shifts, hit that follow button. And speaking of power shifts, let's fly from the East to the European Union. The EU has its own grand plan to shuffle the deck with a digital euro. And this is our cover story for tonight. The European Parliament reviewed the progress of the digital euro and identified challenges for its use outside the euro area. Monetary acceptance of the digital euro across the EU would need international agreements between the EU and third countries. The European Central Bank has expressed its support for the legislative proposals of the European Commission regarding the digital euro. Fabio Panetta is the executive board member of the ECB. He said these proposals could make Europe a global leader in central bank digital currency development. The proposals also aim to thwart private dominance in the financial sector. The European Commission suggested that the digital euro be given the status of legal tender. It also proposed privacy and pricing policies that have been hailed by the ECB. The European Central Bank believes that a digital euro should not be seen as a risk, but rather as an opportunity for the European financial sector. Panetta cited PayPal's recently introduced PayPal USD stablecoin as a potential risk. He believes that the digital euro would do better in this regard by paying attention to orderly adjustments in the financial sector. The EU's digital euro project is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it aims to establish Europe as a global leader in the CBDC arena. On the other, it faces significant hurdles, especially when it comes to international agreements. The need for such agreements highlights the complex nature of introducing a CBDC in a multi-country union like the EU. The ECB's support for the European Commission's legislative proposals is noteworthy. It shows that the central bank is keen on pushing forward with the digital euro, despite the challenges. The ECB is not just looking at the digital euro as a form of currency, it's viewing it as a tool to counter the growing influence of private payment services like PayPal. This is a clear nod to the distrust many have towards centralized financial systems. The ECB's focus on privacy and pricing policies also speaks volumes. It aims to ensure the digital euro is not just another form of currency, but a more secure and efficient one. The mention of PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin serves as a warning that private payment services are not to be trusted when it comes to monopolistic tendencies, at least in the view of the central bank. In essence, the digital euro is not about digitizing currency, it's about reclaiming financial power from private entities. It's a move that could either set Europe ahead in the global financial race or mire it in legal and operational complexities. But one thing is clear, the ECB is willing to take that risk, and that should tell us something about the shifting power dynamics in global finance. What the EU is planning might shake up the private finance sector, but guess what also does that? A $40 million crypto exploit. Buckle up, it's about to get bumpy. Stake is a crypto betting platform. Well, the odds were clearly against them recently as they fell victim to a massive $40 million exploit. The platform tried to reassure its users that their funds were safe, but this claim was met with skepticism from the crypto community. The platform resumed its services a few hours after the attack, but did not clarify the reason behind the exploit. The incident occurred on September 4th and was initially reported by blockchain analyst Cyvers Alerts, who mentioned a $16 million exploit on the Ethereum network. The stolen funds were converted to Ethereum and moved to several externally owned wallets. Noted blockchain investigator SackXBT later revealed that a $15.7 million exploit took place on Ethereum. Another $25.6 million was drained across Polygon and Binance Smart Chain. The hacker first moved around $3.9 million in Tether and $9.8 million in Ethereum. The next set of transactions included $1 million in USDC and $900,000 in DAI. Stake assured its users that their Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ripple wallets were not affected by the exploit. Now, let's dig deeper. Stake's assurance about the safety of user funds raises eyebrows. Why? Because the platform failed to provide a clear reason for the exploit. I mean, how do we know the problem's been taken care of if they don't tell us what the problem was? The lack of transparency is a red flag, especially when we're talking about a $40 million heist. The crypto community is right to question Stake's claims. The exploit spanned several blockchains, Ethereum, Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain, indicating a well-coordinated attack. The attacker didn't just stop at Ethereum, they drained funds across multiple networks. This level of sophistication suggests we're not dealing with an amateur, but a well-organized entity. Kinda reminds me of a North Korean hack, actually. The fact that Stake resumed its services within a few hours of the attack is also concerning. How can users trust that the platform is secure when the root cause of the exploit hasn't been addressed? Stake's vague updates do little to instill confidence. If that exploit made your heart race, remember to subscribe for more. Now, you know who's cashing in on these exploits and regulatory gaps? Law firms. Let's dive into the legal goldmine. Law firms, consultants, and analysts have collectively earned over $700 million following the collapse of crypto firms like FTX, Voyager Digital, Genesis Global, Celsius Network, and BlockFi. Two major law firms, Sullivan & Cromwell and Kirkland & Ellis, have been particularly lucrative, pulling in $110 million and $101 million in fees, respectively. These firms also charged between $500,000 and $2.5 million in expenses. The fees have drawn heavy criticism from creditors, as the money paid to these legal entities reduces the pool of funds available for return to investors. Sullivan & Cromwell's hourly rates have also raised eyebrows, reaching nearly $600 per hour for paralegals and over $2,000 for partners. I am in the wrong line of work. The legal industry's windfall is driven by the lack of clear cryptocurrency regulations, making the cases more complex and time-consuming. For instance, Sullivan & Cromwell had more than 150 people working on the FTX case, including 30 partners with rates exceeding $2,000 per hour. The U.S. Bankruptcy Court even appointed a fee examiner, who reported that these fees were reasonable. The legal experts involved in the FTX case alone have charged more than $326 million. Turnaround management firm Alvarez & Marsal also charged more than $125 million for its work on FTX, Celsius, and Genesis. So I'm thinking these astronomical legal fees in the crypto space are a symptom of a much larger issue. The lack of clear regulations around cryptocurrency is not just a hurdle for investors and companies, it's a goldmine for law firms. These firms are capitalizing on the regulatory gray area, and it's the investors who are paying the price. The legal industry's windfall shows how the traditional systems, often seen as archaic and rigid, can still hold significant sway in the crypto world. So while we're busy debating the merits of DeFi and the future of finance, traditional institutions like law firms are walking away with hundreds of millions of dollars, facilitated by the fact that the regulations are unclear. That dramatically increases the time that legal teams need to spend working out the details of the bankruptcies. And let's not forget, that money is coming out of the pockets of investors, many of whom have lost significant sums due to these crypto firm implosions. So what's the takeaway? It's high time for clear and fair regulations in the crypto space. Until that happens, the only ones truly profiting from the crypto revolution might just be the lawyers. And that, my friends, is a very bitter pill to swallow. If you're as impressed with these legal fees as I am, don't forget to like this episode. Now, let's move from legal mazes to political ones. Singapore's new president isn't too thrilled about crypto. Let's find out why. Tharman Shanmugaratnam is Singapore's new president, and this new president has a history of skepticism towards cryptocurrency. The 66-year-old was elected with 70.4% of the vote, replacing Halima Yaqub. Tharman has called crypto purely speculative and slightly crazy. He also labeled crypto assets as highly volatile and highly risky as investment products. His financial background includes serving as Singapore's finance minister and chairman of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. During his tenure, Singapore witnessed the collapse of Terraform Labs and Three Arrows Capital. He's been in the government since 2007 and was chair of the authority from 2011 to 2023. Tharman's early stance on crypto was laissez-faire. In 2018, he saw no threat to Singapore's financial system from crypto. However, he reiterated in 2023 that crypto is, quote, inherently purely speculative. He suggested authorities should provide ultra clarity on the risks. For banks and stablecoins, the situation is different. Singapore's banks are required to hold $125 of capital against an exposure of $100 to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ether. He also mentioned that regulated stablecoins could have a role in traditional payment systems. Tharman's election as president could signal a cautious approach towards crypto in Singapore. His past comments and regulatory actions show a leader who's not entirely dismissive, but is clearly wary of the crypto space. This could mean tighter regulations and more scrutiny for crypto businesses and individual investors in Singapore. His views are particularly noteworthy given the growing distrust towards governments and central banks among the crypto community. Tharman's presidency might not bring about a crypto-friendly environment, but it could offer what he termed ultra clarity, which, depending on your perspective, could be a double-edged sword. His cautious approach might serve as a dampener for those looking for a more liberal crypto policy in Singapore, but it might also bring the kind of regulatory clarity that could, paradoxically, help the crypto industry grow in a more sustainable way. Just a quick reminder to turn on notifications for our nightly episodes. But now, let's turn our eyes to Japan. They're making some big moves in the crypto tax world, and you're going to want to hear it. The Japanese Financial Services Agency proposed a significant change to the country's tax code concerning digital assets. The FSA aims to exempt domestic firms from the annual unrealized gains tax on cryptocurrency. In Japan, companies are taxed on a yearly basis for their crypto holdings, unlike in some countries where taxes are levied only after converting crypto to fiat. The Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry already expressed support for the FSA's proposal. The FSA states that this reform aims to foster Web3 development and encourage startups using blockchain technology. The Japan Blockchain Association is a non-governmental organization. They urge the government to revise the crypto tax regime. Their demands include abolishing the year-end unrealized gains tax for corporations, implementing a uniform 20% tax on personal crypto trading profits, and removing income tax on individual crypto transactions. The FSA's move is a seismic shift in the regulatory landscape. It's a clear signal that Japan is setting itself up as a crypto-friendly nation. This is about fostering an environment where blockchain and Web3 can thrive. The FSA knows that the unrealized gains tax is a hurdle for companies. It's a detriment that could stifle innovation and investment in the crypto space. The ministry's support for the FSA's proposals add weight to the likelihood of this change becoming law. It's a nod to the growing influence and acceptance of digital assets in Japan's economic framework. This is a move aimed at making Japan a hub for crypto and blockchain technology. The Japan Blockchain Association's earlier demands show there's already been a long-standing call for such reforms. The FSA's proposal could be the first step in a series of changes that could revolutionize how crypto is viewed and regulated in Japan. What does this mean for the retail investors? If you're interested in crypto, keep an eye on Japan. Their regulatory shifts could set a precedent that other nations might follow. And if you're a startup in the blockchain or crypto space, Japan might just be the place you might want to set up shop. This is a big picture move, and it's one that could ripple across the global crypto landscape. So, what happened? In the geopolitical arena, BRICS is challenging not just the US dollar, but the entire Western economic system. With India contemplating a name change to Bharat, the alliance is symbolically and practically asserting a new world order. The EU is pushing forward with its digital euro, a move that could either propel Europe to the forefront of CBDC development or trap it in a regulatory maze. The digital euro is not just a currency, it's a challenge to private payment giants like PayPal. Stake, the betting platform, suffered a $40 million exploit across multiple blockchains. The incident raised serious questions about the platform's transparency and security measures. Law firms and consultants are having a field day with the regulatory chaos in the crypto world, collectively earning over $700 million. This lack of clear regulations is filling their coffers at the expense of investors. Singapore's new president brings a cautious approach to crypto, emphasizing the need for ultra-clarity on risks. While not entirely dismissive, his presidency could mean tighter regulations for the crypto space in Singapore. Lastly, Japan is making moves to become a crypto-friendly nation, proposing significant changes to its tax code. The FSA's latest proposal aims to foster Web3 development, setting Japan on a path that could make it a global crypto hub. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. If you enjoyed tonight's show, then please like, follow, subscribe, leave a rating, or maybe a review. And in the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow night.